back into the fold, and she's going to be doing a lot more stuff with us on a more regular basis as well. So we want to get you guys introduced to Lex, make sure you're familiar with her and her trading style. So we wanted to bring her back on the show today and answer some of the questions we got over the week on all of our social media channels and the YouTube. So Lex, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, Corey. How's everything going? I'm super
It,
happy to be back.
we're happy to have you. We're happy to have you. Thanks again for jumping on short notice. I know you've trading. You're busy. You're running around, but we do
Yeah,
appreciate you taking the time and joining us. So
yeah, absolutely.
how was your trading week?
Really amazing. If you were on my previous live, I don't trade a lot, but we found that one setup this week. My students took it as well, and it was just another beautiful week. Pretty nice win streak right now, which we know what's coming when you're on a win streak, but we'll take it.
Sure, of course, of course. It's only a matter of time, but
Yes, yes,
minimizing those losses is really where, it separates the winners from the losers in the long term. And I know that's a big part of your trading plan is
yes,
to, minimize losers and of course maximize winners.
yeah.
What did you guys go through on your training this week? What were you guys going into? Tell me a little bit about what you did in the private room.
Yeah, so usually I'm always teaching in the charts. It's really easy just to open up the charts and say, here's a low, here's a high. But, just taking a step back, I'm like, what really made me a profitable trader? And it was literally my discipline. So yesterday told my team, I'm not even going to open up the charts. We're not here to do that. I just pulled up a Microsoft Word document and literally on my screen it said trading plan versus trading journal and the distinct differences that separate those. So I just basically went in, what is a trading plan versus what is a trading journal and why they're
Let's
so
do it.
important.
You want to run through that a little bit with the guests here today?
Yeah, absolutely. And especially because it's so fresh. So,
Awesome.
um, uh, plan versus trading journal. We
You want
often
to pull
hear
up a
just
screen share?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I have the trading journal up, but I can absolutely type it out. Can you guys
Yeah,
see
yeah,
my
of
screen?
course. Take
Okay.
your time.
Oh wait.
Yeah,
Okay.
screen looks good.
Nice. Awesome. So if I have
Oh,
trading,
you're not sharing yet.
oh, I'm not sharing. Let's see. Let's go here. All right, share
And
presentation.
while you're doing that, you have any plans for the fourth weekend? What do you got going on?
Honestly, it's gone so hard this week that I think I just need to relax. I
Good for
just,
you. Good for
I think,
you.
yeah,
That's
I just
awesome.
want to
So just gonna
relax.
take some time to yourself, recharge the
Absolutely,
batteries, get ready for next week.
absolutely.
Oh, here we
You
go. It's coming
know,
up now.
so I know you can see my chart. Can you see this Microsoft Word document?
No, all I see right now is trading view.
No worries. We can actually just rep it out right here.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. All right, guys. So trading plan versus trading journal. Through my time as a trader, I've always heard trading plan, trading plan, trading plan. And so
Lex, you're a
sometimes
little muffled.
how about now? Is the sound okay
Perfect.
here?
Yep,
Okay.
much better.
So, just going back on it, through my trading journey, I've always heard trading plan, trading plan, trading plan. And, sometimes I think we tend to think that intertwines trading journal, but I do. So let's with trading plan first. So for me, a
Of
trading
course.
plan,
Are they mutually exclusive? Is there any overlap? And do you need both?
there can be, slight, but I actually believe in both because for me, trading plan is my actual blueprint to when I'm trading. What are my disciplines? What are my non-negotiables? Exit entry confirmations, exit strategy, and then my trading journal is like a personal diary. So after I've taken the trades, I'll go in here and I'll write to myself, with a screenshot of the trade I took, why did I take the trade, and things of that nature. So plan is very important to
Got
me.
it. So one's a roadmap and one is a record of accountability.
Absolutely. So let's go
Cool. I'll
trading.
do it.
Let's go trading plan. All right. So for trading plan, I tend to not give my exact trading plan because the thing with trading is I tell them, you're going to learn my strategy and you're going to use it very similar to how I utilize it. But what's going to be different is, how do you manage when you're in the trade? What are you willing? It might look different than me, so I'm not going to just give everything, but I want to give you guys the main headers, which I think are the most important. So with my trading
Also,
plan is I
I
have
think that's very true in many things. If you give them Exact. And then it gives them no incentive to learn it on their own. Whereas if you give
Exactly.
them the outline, they could build something that, it's suitable to their trading, their strengths and weaknesses. So I certainly agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell them like this trading plan isn't concrete, because I'm not the same trader that I was last week, right? Whether or I lost, I'm evolving. So my trading evolve with me because I'm going to screw up. I'm going to make small
Sure.
mistakes that I refine so that I don't bring it into the next week. So they're affecting my trading plan. So I'll start pregame. For those that are just joining this live, my background is just a basketball player, an elite athlete. So pregame is so important, and I'm guilty of early in my trading journey being so excited about trading that I literally would just rise out of my sleep and grab my phone and look at MT4. It's a detrimental thing to my trading, and so I need a pregame. So I'll just give you some insight on what my pregame looks like. I do, my mindfulness, spiritual mindfulness, small meditation, on some music, food going, either shower, throw some water on my face, and I really wake myself up because I'm kind of just nudging my conscious mind like, hey, today will be a good day. You've started it out the right way, and you're already step one towards doing the right thing as a trader.
So some
So that's,
affirmations, some nice affirmations for the day, and this is like
yeah.
your before the charts activities.
Yeah, I just call it my mindfulness, how do I really want my mind to be before I even step into any of my, businesses. I want to make sure I'm alert, I'm aware, and I'm feeling good, I think there's this thing you have to have with yourself where you got to wire yourself like, all right, I have to tackle the day, so I need to do the things that are going to prepare me to, because just rising from my sleep and opening MT4 was the most non-conducive thing to my, I know everybody on this live stream probably has just like woken up from their sleep and been like, "Oh, MT4." You don't want to do
Yeah,
that.
let me
You
look
want
at gold, right?
Mhm.
I've been
Mhm.
there.
Yeah, like randomly just placing a trade for no reason. Didn't analyze it, just felt good, right? You don't
Right.
want to do that. Yeah, so pregame is most important. Those are some of my things that I like to do. The next thing on my trading plan are my non-negotiables. So non-negotiables. So my
These must be
non-negotiable.
important. These are up top. This is near the
Yeah.
top of the trading plan.
Yeah. I know last week on the last live set, gold setup that I actually ended up not taking because it took bank holiday. And so my non-negotiable, what days do I not trade? So for me, I don't trade Mondays because having my trading through just my trends and correlations that I'm really during midweek towards end of the week. So a non-negotiable for me is I don't trade Mondays. A non-negotiable for me is if I didn't get enough sleep, I'm not trading. The other one is I don't trade at 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Like I'm making sure that I'm sticking within my time zone. So non-negotiables have to be the things that you're willing to sway from.
And now, do you provide a structure on kind of what those should be for people, or you kind of leave it up to them and they can decide what they are entirely on their own?
I leave it up to them, because I think this is based on personality. Some people can sleep 4 hours and it doesn't affect them. They might get in the charts and nothing changes for well. And so
Got it.
I try to leave that up.
Good
I'll try to give a,
insights.
yeah, I'll try to give a little bit of an example to maybe inspire some thought that, hey, what could my non be? But this has to be your non-negotiable. All
Got it.
right,
I understand.
so
But do you give a framework? You know, your non-negotiable should include time when you're going to be trading, prices,
hmm
trades per week.
yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Got
So
it.
they do
Got it.
get the
So
framework,
there's an
and then
opportunity for them to fill out in the framework where they get a basis, and then I'm sure from there it's going to change somewhat as time goes on.
right on, you got it. All right, so we have pregame, we have non-negotiables. The next most important thing to me are my entry. So I know, I got to actually display my last week, which is a very
Hmm.
sequential. It's literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't
Right.
rearrange that sequence. It is just it's so cut and dry. I know we mentioned that like marking up the chart really boring. It's the money that's fun, right? So,
Exactly. You want it to
so
be as
and
easy and repeatable as possible.
yes, yes, it's so redundant, and I think traders, you'll learn that it looks like to be redundant in the markets until you're coming back every single week to realize, holy crap, my routine's not changing. Like I'm doing this every single week, which it's not the most which I get the payout and
Exactly.
it's
Is
not
that when you
like
start to
it's
see those
fun.
little wins add up and hey, I'm doing something right. This is awesome.
Yes, and I made a comment to my team yesterday, like when you get profitable and you get to the top of where you want to be, there's getting to the top and there's just maintaining at the top, right? And so sometimes you see people get to the top and get to and then they get comfortable and they stop doing the things that got them there in the first place. So I emphasis on continue to be this structured, continue to be this routine.
That's so important. We see that so much in the prop world. People on the audition phase, they're working so hard, they're trying so, they're executing perfectly,
Yeah,
funded, and now they let off the gas and they start,
yeah,
they figured, oh, I've made it, and they start making
hmm
bad decisions. They're not keeping a journal. They don't have a trading plan. They're not sticking to it. They're too much leverage, and
yep,
position size is wrong, and they end up losing those accounts. So it's exactly what you said. You've got to pass the audition, but you've got to keep that account once you're there, and that's a
exactly.
huge part of being successful in the prop world.
Exactly. You don't want to get loose with the things that even got you the funded account, Continue
Exactly.
to do the same thing and I mean your account capital will just exponentially grow. So
Yep.
routine is a really good thing. All
Perfect.
right.
Awesome. I like that.
We got pregame, we have non-negotiables, and now my entry confirmations. So this is literally my signature confirmation list. So I know we've talked about new lows, pullbacks, break and retouch, my EMAs, my establishing support and resistance. This is literally all the confirmations I must see to actually start getting into the market. So this is actually preparing me for, hey, I'm getting into this. And just talking about it just triggered a thought. I review my trading plan even on days where there's not a setup. So I'll read my trading plan and be ready. And if there's no setup, I don't just disregard the trading plan. I'm glad I read that anyways because that's probably what kept me from not taking the trade.
Right. Right. Reinforcing it every day. Important. So
Yeah.
what I've seen so far, we've got a few things that are non-tradable right now. We've got pregame, we've got non-negotiables. We're going through our trading plan. We haven't even looked at the charts yet until we got to entry confirmations.
hmm
Where are we in the day? We're at 8:30, 9 o'clock.
So I'm an early bird. I get up and that's when I start my day. So my pregame kicks off pretty early, and I tend to look at the New York session starting around 7 a.m. But just through my trading journal and noticing when I'm placing my trades, I'm really not getting in the market sometimes until like 9:30 a.m. So I'm
Okay,
leaving about a 2 hour window.
got it. To get all
Yeah,
your morning stuff out of the
yeah,
way, get yourself in the best position to be successful.
yep. It's really time to wake up. I want every neuron to be firing essentially. So I don't want to just roll into this thing. I want to give myself some time to really just be present too. It's not all about trading. Like I want to sit in gratitude in the morning and I just really want to be present day to day.
Cool, very cool.
Awesome. So for entry confirmations, your confirmation list might look different than what we have at Flex Trading. I love our confirmation list. I've just seen traders. I mean, just it's just crazy. The transformation is crazy with this confirmation list, but I have to see those confirmations to get into the market. So let's
Mhm.
say at this point of my trading plan, I'm in the market. The next thing that I'll look at on my trading plan while I'm starting to get into the market is my let me rewind this back. I've missed something really important before entry confirmations, which is my risk management.
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
Now, tell me this: is this an for me? I know it is, but for some people, it's very loose. People have totally different definitions of a trading plan and risk management. For you in your school, is this a written document?
Yeah.
This is
I
written
actually
down. This is some.
Yeah, it is. It's just a rinky-dink PDF. I used to have it as my screensaver on my
Hmm.
phone as well, just so I believe in
So you could
subconscious.
refer to it every day. Perfect.
Yeah, yeah, and just like even when I'm unlocking my phone, right, and I'm sliding up, there's a subconscious aspect to our day-to-day existence. So I'm just like embedding it so that
You're
let's
taking
say
a
I don't.
picture of it every time you look at your phone.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's the same way, Target brands, Walmart brands. I'm just literally just advertising my own trading plan to myself.
Osmosis.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is.
Nice. All right, so
Exactly.
we got to jump back for a second to risk management, and this is part of the
Yes.
plan. So how do we account for risk management as we're going into it the day?
Yeah, so for me, risk management is literally one simple question I ask myself. What am I willing to lose? Where would my stop loss be when I see the setup that, is starting to brew? Like, where would my stop loss be? Would it be beneath the lows? Would it be above the high? Calculate, literally pull out. I don't know if anybody on this call is from the Forex Pip calculator. You can literally type it into Google.
Sure.
Maybe one
Yep.
in the chat for um, go in there and I say, all right, I'm risking 30 pips and I have a lot size of, $10 per pip. That means, okay, $300 better be only 1% of my capital. And so I
Right.
don't
Oh,
risk more
is
than
that your rule of
1%.
thumb? We're looking at a 1% account size. Got it.
Yep,
That gives you
yep,
a lot of room.
exactly.
That's a nice safe number. Going back to prop, I know I hate to take you off topic, but going back to prop, one of the reasons prop is so nice is because you have a large account size now, and risking 1% is still a good amount of money. Whereas if you're
Yeah,
trading your own
absolutely.
capital, you might not have a ton of money. 1%, you really can't make the needle move with that.
Exactly. And that 1%, I told my students yesterday, like, trading is, the profits are second, but the first thing you have to find ways to protect your mind, right? And so if I'm only risking 1% and I'm taking a 1% loss, that's nothing. Like that feels like nothing. I'm so detached from that
Right.
outcome.
Right. Exactly.
So
Exactly. So even if you have a loss, I mean, it's not catastrophic in any capacity. You can come
ever
back from that very easily.
correct. And losing it, I think it's so great to talk about the wins and the setups and but losing is so normal. What's abnormal is consistently blowing your account, blowing your account, and you're not noticing
Right.
that your risk is way too high. So, guys, you're going to take losses. Embrace them. They're not losses; they're lessons. So, stick with that 1%. So here's where I'll kind of, I always say you got to know the rules to break the rules, right? So I'll utilize that 1%, 1%, 1%, right? And I'll count. Once I notice that I have a cushion that I built up, only risking 1%, I'll start to push it to 1.5% risk, right? So then my lot size can increase a little bit more. Doing that if I actually have profit I've already built up. I'm not doing that if I'm just still floating at my original principle. I gotta have
Or
profit.
if you're, even worse than that, if you've lost multiple trades and you start to revenge trade, that's probably the worst time to double down, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. You should not double down unless you have already put a nice amount of profit on the original balance. And,
And so
and
typically when you're increasing your lot size, you're increasing your risk, what is do you top out at all, or do you have a rule where you say, yeah, hey, we could go for forever, or we could go until 2%, 4%? What is where do you become uncomfortable?
oh man, I am human. I've risked 3, 4% sometimes because I'm just so confident in my strategy sometimes, and I'm ready for the next level. Um, I highly advise you do that, but I've had my moments where I've done that. But I will say I do get uncomfortable around 2%.
Got it. Got it.
That's
So
that's
I
it.
mean,
That's where I top out.
good. So knowing those numbers is so important because there's so many traders
Hmm.
out there who just they don't have a risk management strategy, they don't have a trading plan, and they just go by feel. And there's a whole culture out there of people who want to flip accounts, and they're trying to risk 20, 30, 40% per trade,
Hmm.
and it just doesn't end well for the trader.
Yeah, exactly. It just kills their psychology, and so the next time they're looking at a really good setup, they miss it because they're hesitant to pull the trigger because they risked 4 or 5% on the account
Right.
before.
Right.
So
Exactly.
psychology, you have to protect before you can evolve your capital.
That's an interesting idea. Not
Hmm.
only is risk management important, but protecting your psychology is important. So
Yeah.
you don't want to become trigger shy, where
Yes.
you've risked too much and you're scared to take the next
Hmm.
trade, even though the setup says everything's good. And
Yeah.
that's where building confidence in your setup is so important. Once
Absolutely.
you're confident and you know your setup has a high percentage, you can take it with confidence, and you really don't have to have that shyness.
Exactly. Exactly. You didn't damage your psychology because you stayed within your risk. So when you see that setup ruin, you're like, no hesitation, just pull the trigger, and you know you're only risking 1%. It's really easy just to say, now I'm cool with whatever the trade wants to do, it can do it, versus
Right. Right.
creating
I
like,
followed all my rules. I've done my part. The trade's going to
yep,
do its thing, and we'll see where we land.
exactly, exactly. It's really it's that simple, and it seems so hard because everybody wants to make money in this. Everybody on this call in the middle of their Friday knows that this market produced hundreds of thousands, millions of
Oh
dollars.
yeah.
And so we want more. Everybody wants more. But I'm telling you, if you can master the really simple thing, which is you have control of your risk, you have control of when you enter, exit, and you have control of when you want to demand more data. If you can kind of hone in on that, you're going to be in good shape. It's not about the home runs. I've seen traders that I've known for a long time make $100,000 and then they turn around and blow 98,000 of it because they hit a home run, versus traders I've seen who just have sustainable, steady profits, and they're not losing them. It's their
Right.
life looks
Right.
totally different.
Exactly. Absolutely. We see it all the time too. That
Yeah.
quick money. It's which I've said many times is those outsized wins that are against your trading plan are more detrimental than anything you can do because you
Yes.
get that euphoric feeling. You're so high. It feels so great. There's nothing like it. You're on cloud nine, and
Yeah.
you think you're invincible. But unfortunately, it just turns around and bites you right away.
It does. Like you can literally win the wrong way. Like I've done it, being transparent. I had a $25,000 day early in my career. Guess what? The day after I lost 19,000 of it, and I was on my high
Right.
horse
Right.
that day. The next day I'm contemplating everything. So,
Yeah.
you
Right.
it's,
Exactly. Exactly. And that
sustainability.
so that's where like protecting your psychology comes in. So not only to the downside, but protecting your psychology to the upside.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those wins that you didn't earn, or they were
Yeah.
you won the wrong way. That could
Yeah.
ruin your psychology.
Absolutely. Like and the rest of that weekend the only thing I could think about was who makes $25,000 in a day and then only has like 4,000. And I'm like, God, it's part of the process. I paid my dues. I'm not doing it again. Not
Right.
doing it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So
And that's where mentorship comes in. I mean, for somebody to
yes.
have to go out and learn that through the loss is,
Hmm.
of course, useful, but it's so
Yeah.
much easier to learn that from you in a mentorship capacity.
You're right.
It
Right.
hurts so much less, and mentorship's a huge part of that. So, a huge
Totally.
advocate for mentorship, and I'm
Yep.
sure all of your students really appreciate the fact that you highlight those losses as
Yeah.
much as the wins.
Yeah. And that's what I'm here to do. Just expedite and teach you the things that I did wrong so that you don't do it, and it's working. People are just becoming profitable in under, a year and a half and sometimes 8 months. And I'm like, man, I needed to do that so I could kind of pay this forward, but I wish I had that
Right,
knowledge.
right.
I wish I had it,
Yeah,
but
right.
we have it now, so everything's good.
Exactly.
Um,
All right, back to it. I'm sorry to keep
yeah,
interrupting you. Go ahead.
no, you're good, Corey. You're fine. So pregame, non-negotiables, risk management. Again, that one question is how much am I willing to lose? Um, the biggest thing is, when you're risking that 1% only, you'll notice that your mind stops creating the false hypotheticals, such as, I'm probably wrong, and you'll notice that the only time you're really uneasy in a trade is when you're over leveraging. So, risk management is what I identify before I'm ever even in the market. So, that comes before entry confirmations. Now, entry confirmations, and that is just my confirmation list. I tell my students, I think we have a total of 9 total that new low pullback, don't 9. We have 9 total
Hmm.
confirmations. Every time I'm hitting my trades, all 9 of those confirmations are there. So for me, I need to see all 9 of those confirmations in order for me to take the trade. And so now let's say I'm in the trade. Entry confirmations. Now I have something called trade management. So, I know I said risk management, but trade management's a lot different. Risk is preceding the trade, and then trade management is while I'm actually in the trade. This will look different for everyone. Some kind of had to, tamper with, trying to figure out who am I? Who am I really in this market? And again, it comes down to finding ways to my psychology. So some of my, techniques with my trade management are when I'm 20 pips, 25 pips away from my entry, I automatically move break even. I know some traders who they don't care, they'll go
And
20.
now, is this a rule in your trade management, or is this as you see fit or as you feel? How does that
The
number come
rule,
into play? Got it.
it doesn't rule because I'd rather price come back to my entry, knock me out break even 5 times versus I'm just taking consistent, stop loss getting hit, because what it allows me to do when I'm moving that break even is that based on my strategy, if it comes back to my entry and knocks me out break even, then it's probably not ready. I've protected my psychology and I have a clear mind to reanalyze. And so I
Got it.
just think going break even is a cheat code. And so with my strategy, if I move break even and price never comes back, I know it's gone. And I know this is the trade. So that's
Cool.
important.
So there's several reasons for the break even. One is to not to lose money. Second is
Mhm.
for protecting psychology.
Mhm.
Third, you need more data. We're probably
Mhm.
not there yet. So
Mhm.
it's and is this part of the trading plan? Oh, even when you're what, 20 pips up?
Yeah, I it depends on the pair. So, depending on the volatility. So, like a GBP USD, I'll say like 25, 30 pips away. But for
Hmm.
something slow like NZD USD, I'm good with like 20, 25 pips, because it's really
Okay.
important to understand on average how many pips a day your pairs tend to move. And GBP USD,
Right.
I mean, it hands out 50, 60, no problem. So, yeah, so
So
that
that's
that
important,
is,
knowing your asset. So you have to know
yes.
what you're trading, how it trades. So this is an integral piece. I mean, way too many people jump in, they find something that looks attractive on the chart and they just want to go trade it. They don't, like you
Yep.
said, they don't know how many points or pips it gives a day. They don't know what it looks like. They don't know what the high,
Yep.
getting in there, getting on a sim or getting in, a small inconsequential lot size and actually learning the behavior of these pairs is going to be priceless for people.
And that's why I don't change my pairs. Like, I've been trading these pairs on my watch list to the right for a long time now, and I don't randomly just throw on like Mexican peso. Like,
Sure.
I am I know how they move. Trading 5 years, like, these are my babies. I've nurtured them for 5 years. I'm totally comfortable with the movement and the oscillation. So
Exactly, exactly.
stick with
Getting
your
familiar with your
pairs.
pairs. That's
Yeah.
we should add that to the trading plan. Get familiar
Yeah.
with your pairs. I'm
Absolutely.
sure it's in there. I'm sure
Yes.
you have it in there.
I don't trade anything
Good.
but these pairs. So stick with your pairs, guys.
Got
It's
it.
very important. And you don't need 10. You can be good with two pairs, because
Sure.
if that's
Yeah,
the
of
only
course.
thing you're watching week in and week out, like, you have a good understanding of how the market's
Yeah,
moving.
absolutely. And they're repeating patterns all the time. So basically, you're
Hmm.
just looking to identify a repeating pattern,
Yep.
and you don't need probably 10 for somebody who's just starting out. Probably is too many. You got to
Yeah,
really
it
learn
is.
the ins and the outs of a handful.
Yes, exactly. Structure first, and then you'll start to, brand. See, oh my God, I'm just seeing the same thing everywhere. And so keep it small and then kind of expand out.
Good tip.
Yeah, so trade management, moving break even. That's probably the for me when it comes to my trade management framework is, and this is very distinct to me, to visualize two sides. So I like to visualize what this trade like if it's not playing out the way I'm used to my trades playing out, and what does it look like if it's playing out correctly. And to me, walking a thin line, that you're two different sides, right? You don't want to overly compensate and say, all right, I'm envisioning that this is going to play out like this, and so I'm convincing and the visualization, right? What it looks attached to either one. I'm just like very neutral in it versus, oh man, like I've seen some candles go against my price right now. It must be wrong. That's not how it works. You got just very neutralized on saying, okay, if it's wrong, it looks like this. If it's right, it looks like this. Either or, I'm risking 1%. I'm not attached to the outcome.
Right. Right. There'll be
Hmm.
another trade.
Yes, there will be.
Cool.
So
I like
I
that.
like
So
to do
that
that.
also
Yeah.
comes back to knowing your pairs, right? So,
Yeah.
if you're getting behavior that's not consistent with what you know, now you
Hmm.
might have another problem on your hands. Or you could say, hey, you know what, this is looking like it's going my way or it's not going my way. So you might be able to identify a pattern earlier than normal and maybe
Hmm.
uh, out earlier before you hit your stop loss, like you said.
Yeah, you hit that exactly what that is. Being able to envision, because I these pairs are moving. It's a great
Cool.
point.
That's part of
Um,
trade management. Now, let me ask you this: in your trade man, and you're probably going to get to this, but so if I'm jumping ahead, just stop me. In your trade management, do you have a way or a method to exit the trade um, before it hits your target? let's say, you've identified something you don't like the way it's looking. How do you reconcile or, keep receipts for getting out of the trade early?
Yeah, so I actually do have another header on here coming, and it's called my exit. So
Okay, cool. We'll
that's
we'll we'll
yeah.
we'll take our time.
Okay, awesome. All right, so we have entry confirmations, we have trade management, and so again, guys, it's just and I just set my stop loss and allow for it to hit. That's just kind of something that I think is really important. All right, the next thing is my exit strategy, and so this goes for winning, losing. Um, it's I've heard people strategy. Should I be for a like pip amount? And so I have like a interesting take on this. So I've heard people say, well, I'm aiming for 100 pips a week. And I'm like, well, I don't necessarily believe in that, because let's say I take a trade and it only goes 80 pips, right? And that is my one setup, but I'm short 20 pips. Naturally, because I set a goal of 100 pips, there's going to be an emphasis for me to try to find a setup just to reach that target goal of
You're
100
going to force
pips.
something that's not there.
Yes, yes, exactly. So I try to just say ease off, don't worry about the pip count, but here is when I start to talk about the pip count. So for my exit strategy, it's identifying my TPs. And for
Hmm.
for people that are, very new, and they're like, I don't even know how you guys are identifying TPs. The first thing that you have to become acquainted with as a trader is learning what taking profit feels like. And so early in my career, I was like, man, I'll watch myself go up hundreds of dollars, and then I'm like negative, and then I'm like only up $25. I'm like, why is my profit going away? I am teaching my students who are just now starting to get into the live market to learn how to condition yourself first before aiming for a TP to just take 25 to 30 pips. I know it's not a substantial amount. I know one trade a week, but at least you're conditioning your mind to say, I now know what it likes to see blue in my MT4. I now know what it's like to have the control, because for some reason it's really hard when greed is biting at you. You can go 500 more, right? You can get 1,000 more out of this market. It's just teaching yourself to learn what it actually feels like and to embody taking profit. So I teach them until you're learning that, hey, 25, 30 pips is enough. And I'm just kind of teaching them to respect the dollar amount, right? No, every dollar is a good dollar. Um,
Sure.
t- Take the 25, 30, and then when you're starting to see the profit and the chart's becoming clearer because you're making profit, there's a correlation there. When you're winning, you're just like, all right, I'm starting to hit this flow state I've never been in. Then we can start to aim for the overall TP, which could be anywhere from 50 to 100 pips. Like our call out last week, or this week actually, it's still Friday, was 95 pips, But some of my traders, and I don't know if Tiff is on the call right now, but Tiff in my platform, she's like, I had to get used to taking the profit. So I've only been taking 25, 30 pips from the call outs. And that's wiring her just to feel what it feels like, because it feels really good to take that profit.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
That is good. So
Yeah.
don't necessarily worry about the dollar value or the pips. Just get used to taking profit, because
Yes.
there's so many times, that's, people, the bulls make money, the bears make money, the hogs get slaughtered. So people
I love
become
that.
it's an
I've
old
never heard
school,
that. I
old
love
school.
that.
That's old school Wall Street for you.
It's
But
so
it's true. They do. You can make money long, you can make money short, but people who get a little too greedy, that's where it ends up biting you.
yeah, like just take the profit. Feel good. Like I don't care if my screen back then said $10, $15. Like it goes back to my favorite story. My first profit was like $10. I run upstairs to my parents, and they think I'm crazy. And I'm showing them the MT4, and I'm like, I found something. Like this is like I was basically screaming like I'm wealthy for life kind of thing. It was $10, but it wasn't the actual
It
$10. It
wasn't
was the
represented. It
exactly. And
represented the future in trading
yeah.
for you.
Exactly. So I'm like running around thinking, not knowing that my day of 25,000, 19,000 of it was coming. I'm just like,
Sure.
it's from my phone. I'm chilling, I can do this anywhere in the world. Holy crap, I just tapped into something. And at that point, my mind put 10 more zeros on that MT4. It
Right.
didn't say $10. It said 100,000 in my head.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, so good. Getting them. I'm sure somebody who's never traded before, particularly maybe people who have traded but have never been profitable before, cashing out those small pip amounts for wins just probably does great things to their psychology.
It
It shows
does.
them that, hey, you we have something that works. It's
Yep.
repeatable. This is
Yep.
something you could take with you into the future. So
Yeah.
that's great to build confidence.
Yeah.
I like that
You re-
strategy a lot.
you kind of have to, manipulate it a little bit like that. Like we know where the TP is, but have you ever felt what it's like to take profits, And you got to learn that before you can, hold the trade to your TP. Take the profit because it's a good day whether or not that MT4 says $10, $1,000, $100,000. You feel good
Right.
about it.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So,
that's the exit strategy on the early side. Give me the exit
mhm.
strategy once somebody's been trading for a while and they're actually doing it.
Yeah, so my exit strategy for, I know this might seem a little foreign to people who've never had an actual view into how I trade, but I'm either aiming, so if I'm taking a sell, I'm aiming back to my higher time frame low. All right, so if I'm coming off
Okay,
a lower low and I'm going into the pullback, I'm aiming back to that lower low. And then in an uptrend, in a buy, I'm aiming back to the higher high. Literally that simple. Those are my most important levels, either back to
got
the
it.
low or back to the high.
An untested or unbroken.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Literally, it just doesn't change. There's times where I just take the profit because I'm fortunate enough to have a nice lot size that, do I need the extra 12 pips or do I
Right,
just want to
exactly.
alleviate the pressure of managing my trade and just say, all right, I'm good. Boom. So it's
Cool.
really up to you, but that's where my TPs are. So we're talking about hitting TPs. I think it's important to understand I have a thing where I'll set my stop loss, but I'm like notorious for I always say poking it until it pops. And so what that means is I tend to cut my losses short before I even hit my stop loss. And that comes from being in this 5 years every single day. And I
What does
kid
that
you
mean?
not.
I don't follow you exactly.
What poking it until it pops?
Yeah,
So let's say I have a setup, right? I have a nice buy setup and I'm trying to take it back to the high, but I don't want my stop loss to get hit. And for some reason, I'm not liking how the price is aligning with, my outlook. I'll cut the loss short before the stop loss is hit, reanalyze, get back in. Let's say I
got
don't
it. I
like,
understand. I understand. So
yeah, yeah,
you won't wait for it to hit. You'll jump out early
yeah,
because you're familiar with the pair. That comes with, familiarity with the pair,
it
confidence in your
does.
setup. So
It does.
you take a little bit of creative license there to
Yeah,
jump
I
out
do.
when you think things aren't going right.
Yes, and that had to come later in my journey. In the beginning of my journey, I really had to just get comfortable with 1% and hit my stop loss. And then over
Got it. Is it
time,
now? Is I would imagine that's how you teach new people.
yeah,
They've kind of have to go through that because they don't have the familiarity with those pairs yet. They've got to just let the stop loss.
exactly. They don't have that, that built up discretion yet to understand when should I cut the loss or when should I let it run. So
Right.
I
Right.
just always advise hit the stop loss with the 1%, get used to that, and then over time, because you're just I don't know, you can't unsee this stuff. You'll start to get this intuitive nature as well with your technicals, and you'll say, taking a quick two very small back to back losses because I'm milking it until it pops, and that third time I get managed. I mean, like I don't even notice I ever took two small losses.
Right. Now, let me ask you this. When you take those two small losses, do you change your entry size at all to compensate for that? Is that part of the program, or is it, hey, listen, we have a 1%, that's it. We're not going to revenge trade. We're not increasing on losers.
Yeah. So all right, let's use this example. Let's say I'm risking 1.5% because I had profit on the account, right? And let's say I like zero point 0.2 of that, right? So now I'll only risk 1.3. So yes, I do kind of subtract that
Got it.
difference in how much I'm willing to
Okay,
risk.
got it.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. So
But
you're gonna build that into your so it kind of carries over to the next trade, so to speak.
absolutely, absolutely. And then it keeps you really intact. That risk management is it's just what's going to keep you alive. It's not the profits because I can make $1,000 and lose 1,500, right? And then I'm
Sure.
negative.
Yeah.
It's literally just take the really small losses and then realize that when it goes, it goes. And I'll use a student for example. And I won't say his name, but he did the $100,000 account, and you need a $10,000 profit, right? And
Hmm.
he went down probably like $3,000, $4,000. But from when I had him in the beginning to having that conversation with him now, he's like I'm not even worried about it. He's like whatever. What's that mean to me? And now he's funded. So it just goes to show
Awesome.
you can go down and you can come right. Losses. I mean, when you're on $100,000 account, you can use a pretty big lot size, risking
Right.
1%. So it's all relative, but 4,000 meant nothing, and now he's funded with you guys. So it just goes to show he kept his loss intact, and his profits were bigger, and now he's funded. So I love that
Cool.
story. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's a story that all traders can relate to. Because we're gonna have drawdowns. That's that's
Yeah.
part of the game. It's just how
Yep.
you come back from that drawdown. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hate to see people, double down on a loss like that and revenge trade out,
Yeah.
particularly new people who don't have a trading strategy. They're just gonna, double down and go back, go double down and go
Yeah.
back. And
Yeah.
those are the folks that blow up early, or
Yep.
more often than we would like. So
Yep.
having a strategy to get back in and find your balance to get back on the positive side is so important.
It is. It is. And it's just being detached from that outcome. And I can't, reiterate this enough is like losing is very normal when you're losing the right way, right? Like the only way to stay
Right.
alive in trading is either win big, win small, break even, or lose small. Notice losing big isn't in that list, right? You can't
Sure.
lose big.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So love that list. So what do we have? Pregame, non-negotiables, risk management, entry confirmations, trade management, and exit strategy. So that's how I see it on the winning side and how I see it on the losing side. And then the last thing I always love to end my trading plan with is just mindfulness. I'm such an advocate of, what might be prayer for you might be meditation for me. It looks different on everybody. But I like visualization. I like affirmations. I like to reflect. I like gratitude. So I'll literally in my trading plan have like I am a 100K a week trader, and I was telling my students yesterday, like I actually believe that. Like I don't write that just to go through the motion. Like I'm writing what I actually believe in and believe I can embody, right? And
Right.
so I love to just wrap things up with just that, like a little bit of self-delusional self-confidence. Like there's no bigger fan than yourself, right? It's
Right. Of
really
course.
a mind game.
As you're saying those things and reiterating them to yourself, eventually some of it's going to stick. Fake it till you make it
Yes.
kind of stuff, and that it
Yes.
definitely is going to help. What do you do differently on a winning day versus a losing day when it comes to that the meditation, mindfulness, affirmation part?
Nothing. Absolutely
Interesting.
nothing. I don't want it to look different because then I overemphasize the emotion. So if I win, I'm not glorifying it. Like for people who follow me on Instagram, I don't post a lot of my profits because I'm finally at the point where I'm detached. If I win, I win, and if I lose, I lose. Back then, it was really cool to slap up an MT for a screenshot and be like, "Yeah, check this out, check this out." Look at these wins, and I don't do anything different. The affirmations after a win or the affirmations after a loss still reaffirm that I am a 100K trader, right? I am a profitable trader. I am
Right.
disciplined as a trader. So it really there's no difference there.
Cool. Very, very good. Because like you said, people they ride the highs too high and the lows too low, and
Yeah.
this is an emotional game as it is. And when you
Yeah.
play into that more, reacting to different outcomes differently,
Mm,
it's kind of almost creating a sabotage.
exactly. It is because if I hit a it's just $500 trade and I'm on this high horse, I'm getting really attached emotionally, and then the next trade, because I know how the high it put me on making $500, I might over leverage, just being influenced by my emotions. So I'm really trying to find ways again to protect the psychology. So
Right.
it just doesn't if
In
I
a case like yours with such a structured program and a trading plan that works with a very high percentage rate, you'd probably be better off, being emotionally high on following the plan as opposed to
yeah,
making money.
that's a great point.
Congratulate yourself for following the plan and then be
Yeah.
down if you didn't follow the plan. So
Yes.
winning right and losing right. You
Yes.
did your part, and even, don't get attached to the outcome, get attached to the process.
Love that. It's funny, Corey, because on my Instagram, I actually have a post that says "process over profits," and it's just that right there. Fall in love with that process. Be super self congratulating when you're like, I followed my trading plan regardless of the outcome. So
Exactly,
I love
exactly.
that.
I did everything on my side. The markets weren't about it today, and I'll get them next time. But the fact that you didn't deviate from that plan is a win.
It is a win. It is a not all wins have dollar signs. So
That's right.
I agree. I agree. I love that. I know my students are loving that too right now because that's awesome. That's great. All right, so I guess this is a good time to transition into the trading journal.
Yeah,
This
let's
is
do it.
really short and sweet. Doesn't take as long as the trading plan, but it is something that I do every single week, and this is
And
my
what does it
personal.
look like? Is it a Word document? Is it a physical ledger, paper?
Yeah, so I would say do everything digitally. So I use something called Notion, and it's
Hmm.
notion.com, and it's really cool. Like there's functionality in there where I can tailor, the journal to my own kind of aesthetic. I use Notion, but Microsoft Word will work. But I highly recommend Notion for your trading journal. It gives you a lot of cool features if you just go in there and play with it. Um, but this is different than the plan, right? Roadmap, like you said, and the journal is a lot of introspection and reflection. So the first thing in my trading journal that I always take a photo of is my higher time frame setup and then my lower time frame setup. Let me caps that
Do you put
HTF.
anything in the journal regarding your pregame or your non-negotiables?
Yes, and that comes a little bit later on the list.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. So I started off with the actual analysis part of it, right? I just capture a screenshot of higher time frame, lower time frame. Very simple. There's nothing really
Is
else
there
to do
any
there.
markups here, or this is just a 4 hour and a 1 hour?
My markups are on there.
Okay,
It's the actual setup.
got it.
Yep. And so the next thing that I like to write are what I call my takeaways. So my takeaways slash reflection. And so I'm going to write analysis and psychology because I think I notice a lot of the times when we think trading journal, everyone's just putting the stop loss and the take profit and the trend lines, and but you want to see what your psychology was like too. Like you really have to, kind of look back and say, was it even my analysis, like my technicals, or was I just kind of loose with my pregame, So in here I include why did I take the trade, what confirmations did I see, what did I do wrong or what did I do right, what time did I trade, and that is a huge emphasis in my trading journal because if you guys recall when I was talking about my trading plan, in my non-negotiables, I have certain times I like to look at the market and I have certain days that I look at the market. I wouldn't know that without writing that in my trading journal.
Got it. Okay. So
Yeah,
this is going to
yeah,
be the specifics of the trade, so to speak. The
exactly.
when, the
Exact.
where, the what.
Yep, yep, exactly. And pair was it? I like to see what pair am I really winning on. And so, for those who are probably wondering, because the number one question I always get is, what pairs do you love? And I find that question so interesting. And I love CAD pairs. They're kind of
Hmm.
slow, but it's just something a little slow, JPY.
Sure, sure.
I don't trade
Uh-huh.
JPY ever. I'm scarred from JPY to say the least. But I did that without a trading journal, right?
Right,
The
right. So you
next
could go
thing is,
back, look, see what was successful, what wasn't.
yeah, and a lot of the times I notice people don't want to journal because you actually have to look at yourself, right?
Oh yeah, you sure do. It's a lot of introspection.
Yes, it illuminates the weaknesses in your trading, and a lot of the times you don't want to believe that that you were just completely out of control and you took that trade even when your mind was like, you probably shouldn't take that trade, but you do it anyways, right? Because that's just what humans do. We do it
Cool.
anyways, and so don't get freaked out. Illuminate those parts of yourself because I like love Albert Einstein. I'm kind of like nerdy that way. I like his book always mentions, insanity is trying to get a different doing the same thing over and over the same way. And I just love that quote. And I think that's something that really stuck with me is because how would I know I'm doing the same thing over and over, achieving the wrong outcome if I don't have something to reflect in, which means I actually put it on paper and I can read it, you know?
Right. Right. Absolutely. Because you lose so much is lost when in as soon as you walk away. Your sentiment's lost. How you were feeling. It's so hard to recall all of those things. All you recall really is did I win or did I lose? And all
Yes.
of the minutia associated with that is gone. And that's really
Yeah.
where we learn the most is in
Mm-hmm.
those small details.
It is. It's a game of inches, right? It's literally the small details in trading. It's going to be really easy to get in here and look at a chart and see a new low, see a new high. Like that's so easy. But what's really going to make you a like master at execution? And execution is where all the rest. So
Right.
you hit it on the head. It's all about the small details. And so yeah, so some other things to include is what was my lot size, because what my lot size tells me is how much did I risk on that trade. You know, if my lot size is too big, I can calculate and say percent and not 1%.
Hmm.
I also include how much dollar value was lost, and how much dollar value was gained if I won, my strengths and price action, what I like about the trade. Did I take this trade because someone sent me a signal, or did I take this trade because someone sent me an analysis and I could actually see it for myself? So I want to kind of touch there just because, I tell my students I would rather lose trusting myself, my analysis, versus lose because I took a signal or because someone told me to take the trade.
Right, right. Well, how
Yeah.
many times do the called out trades work out anyways? But it depends on who it is. It's some
Yeah.
Twitter calling out a trade. This is a terrible place to start your trading career. So I totally understand
Signals
that.
don't work. They never work. Yeah,
Right,
they're just not
right.
reliable. And so, um, when I tell people who are inquiring about my platform, what is the market weekly analysis? So I use those words for a reason and not signals, because I'll drop an analysis, and I'm basically showing a screenshot of all the confirmations that we utilize, but I'm not specifically saying buy at level 1.00 something
Hmm.
or sell at. It's literally, you need to be self-sufficient, and because if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, like, you still have to make money, right? You still want to
Right,
learn this
exactly,
this skill
exactly.
set. So and I've watched, I had a student this morning mention that. She was like, you actually teach how to trade, and not just spoon feed us. And so I think
Right.
that's important. I can give analysis. We're on an 11 for 12 win streak right now, which is just,
Awesome.
it's
That's
I'm so,
fantastic. That's
yeah,
weeks.
yeah. That's
That's
weeks, yeah.
11 out of 12 weeks.
It
Great.
is 11 out of 12. And for those who don't follow me on Instagram, I always put the before and after. I believe in transparency. And I mean, it comes with a lot of pressure because people are like looking to me like, hey, Lex, what do you have your eyes on? And I'm taking the same trades, but I love to put receipts on the Instagram story. So,
Today
if
it's so
you're,
important.
hmm
There's so many people out there who are, fudging the numbers. So it's great to put
yeah,
stuff up there that
yeah.
really holds water.
Absolutely, absolutely. Before and afters are really important, especially because my students will hold me accountable. Like, if I'm photoshopping that, they're gonna go, Lex, that wasn't in the chat. Like, that's a front kind of thing. So I love that my students are like, that's exactly what it is. So it's accountability on my end too. I'm an educator, but I also need my team to keep me accountable. So that's kind of
Right.
something
Of
I've
course.
I've kind of implemented. And so with takeaways and reflections, I touched on all the analysis part. So let's talk about psychology. Did I do my pregame routine? Did I,
And now is this kind of like a checklist?
it varies. It can be a checklist. Over time, since I'm getting a lot more comfortable, um, psychology doesn't change a lot. So now I'm really trying to like find the super, super small details of the broader picture. But it's definitely my approach, my pregame. Did I calculate risk? Was I arguing with my neighbor, or was I in a bad mood from my 9 to 5? Like, all of those things matter, right? Because it's going to shift you emotionally. So we want to
Of
be as
course.
unemotional as possible. So all of those things are basically a reflection of you that day, not you in the markets with trend lines and candlesticks. All right, it is
Right.
literally, it's emotions. It's emotion. And so that's a big one. That's different. And private diary, like, there's times like you would crack up if I put up my trading journal, because there's times I'll take a loss. I'll literally be like, now you absolutely shouldn't have been doing that, and that was just dumb as hell. Like, that's something I would say to myself in my journal. Like, I don't
So
sugarcoat.
so it's written in a way that you would talk to somebody else.
um, no, I don't think I would ever say, that was pretty
Oh, okay,
to
got
somebody
it, got it. But
else.
no,
But
but
for
it
me, yeah,
in that tone though. I mean, not in those exact words, but like you're
yeah,
you're actually
yeah.
communicating to yourself at a later date.
Yes, yes, I am. And for me, like, I'm kind of fiery by nature. So when I read that journal, and I literally see, like, I'll yell at myself in my own journal. It's so funny. Um and then I'll and I'll end it with, like, what kind of trader you are, like, just like yelling at myself, but it's kind of just, I'm not calling myself out, I'm calling myself up, kind of thing.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so Yeah, so I tend to have my own tone in my journal, and that's why it's subjective to you. You know, how do you want to talk to
Sure.
yourself in a journal? You know,
Exactly.
do you
Exactly.
need
And
something more angelic?
I've kept a journal for a long, yeah, right. I've kept a journal for a long time, and it changes over time. Also, so it as you become, who you are in trading, your tone and candor with yourself in that trading journal and what you document changes.
Yeah.
I'm definitely more into, like we talked about earlier, the minutia now, as I was
Mm-hmm.
previously. Previously, I was just about facts. What did the chart look
Yep.
like?
Yep.
Now I'm more about like what was going on here, as opposed to the chart,
Yes.
because that's really the things that, those variables that I can control.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. You're just kind of like filling in those. I got down in those gaps and see what it was, and usually
Exactly.
what's
Exactly.
sitting in the gap is your psychology. And so
Right.
yeah, so I love that. I absolutely love that. And I know just I that my students are on here hearing somebody else say it. It's like they're with me every week. You know, I'm Lex to them, but when somebody of your nature and your background hear it, it just reaffirms the process. You know.
Oh yeah. No,
So
I mean, I've so many traders over the years, and there's only a few things that set apart the winners and the profitable and the non-profitable.
hmm
And trading journal is probably my number one.
I love that.
I could
Yep.
talk to somebody for just a couple minutes, and I know immediately if they're not profitable or on their way to profitability by what they're
hmm
doing.
Yep.
And if somebody, you say, hey, what's your trading plan? And they start, I know I know immediately they don't have one, and they're not
Correct.
going to be a profitable trader. And if somebody has a well thought out, well defined plan, here's how I journal, here's how I do this. Wow, this guy,
Yep.
he's on the path. He might not be profitable yet,
Mhm.
but if he sticks with it, he
He
has
will be.
all the makings of a profitable
Yep.
trader. Absolutely.
Yep. 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 I can't agree more. It is, and it sounds so small trading plan, but it's the effort of just doing the trading plan, and that's the part that people don't want to do. They don't want to get into that extra little bit of effort, you know. They don't
Right.
want to take 30 minutes away from Netflix or something, but do it. Like I don't it's magical what happened. I became when I developed a trading journal. I wasn't profitable before that. It came after.
That's like, I know you're big on like affirmations, but that's like with everything. If you
Yeah.
take something that you want to accomplish and do, and you put it out in the world, and you say it, and you read it every day, and you do it, you tell other people about it, it becomes a thing. It
It
gets legs and
does.
it starts moving. It's a
Yes.
truth. They call it the secret. They call it all sorts of stuff, but it's
Yeah,
true. It's a real
it
thing.
is.
And in
It
trading,
is.
that's our trading plan on our trading journal.
It is. It is. There's no coincidence, you know. This is a
Right.
direct correlation of where I'm putting my energy into, and now actualizing the actual outcome and embodiment of it. So I agree, 100%.
Right. Absolutely.
All right. So we have higher time frame, lower time frame screenshot. We have takeaways, reflection on analysis slash technical slash psychology. And the last thing, it's a dead giveaway. It's affirmations. It's my visualization. So again, I'm just ending it with, I am self-aware. I am in control of my disciplines, and just I am. I don't ever like saying statements like, and I'm going to use cars because I'm a huge car. I don't like saying I want a Lamborghini. I always say I already have the Lamborghini. I don't because I think that kind of wires you to think in terms of lack, right? Kind of illuminates what you don't have. But when I say I
Hmm.
already have it, and now I'm just kind of working through what I call my cycles of creation to into my existence, it's already done. The moment I saw myself in it and I could paint pictures of the carbon fiber panels and the bucket seats, it's already done. I can see it. So now it's just my due diligence to bring it here. And that's through hard work, effort, and disciplines.
Awesome.
See it. Really see it. Like play with your imagination. I love the imagination. I think it's the greatest gift. It's better than money. I can sit in it all day. Like imagining is a fun thing to do. So play with it. Don't think in
Yeah,
terms of lack.
absolutely. Right,
Yeah.
of course, of course. Well,
hmm
I've spoken to a couple experts on the topic when it comes to affirmations and the secret, and
Yep.
you hit the nail on the head. You don't say I want, I have, and
Yes.
that's really the turning point for a lot of people, and they change that mentality and they change the visualization. It becomes even more powerful. So
Yes.
you sound like an expert. You sound like you know what
Oh,
you're talking about with the affirmations.
it's a lot of mindfulness and, just being transparent. And, when I started flex trading and, before I even knew about moving to South Florida and SurgeTrader, I saw this, like this interview, this, just being involved and becoming family with Surge and becoming one. I already saw it. I just didn't know the name was Surge Trader. I didn't know the colors were blue, yellow. I didn't know it would be in Naples, Florida. I didn't need to know those fine details. I just knew kind of the vision, and now I'm sitting in it. And so there's just no coincidence. So it's
Yeah,
just
this is
about
a testimony to just that,
it
your dreams can
is.
come true. It
It
starts
is.
with taking the first step.
And it's just self-belief. Find people you see yourself within, and why are they living how you want to live? It's only one thing. It's just the belief. It's not nobody is like, wired with like this extra 10% of ability. It's just the belief that they can actually do it. So
Right.
belief, So yeah,
Awesome.
so
Awesome. Well,
affirmations
Lex,
to end the trading
another
floor.
phenomenal program with you today. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Uh, Side for us and dropping these
Yeah.
gems on us. I know we had, like I said earlier, we had a lot of great you, and we're looking forward to get you in the pit and do some work with us on a more
Yeah.
regular basis. So everybody
Yeah.
tuned, keep an eye on socials, keep an eye on Lex's social, and we're gonna give you some times and some dates, and you could join us on a more regular basis and start bringing people, showing them the light.
Yeah, right on. I can't wait to be back in South Florida this week, upcoming week. So can't wait to be back
Awesome.
in the pit. Get with
Well,
Surge Trader, guys.
travel safe, enjoy,
Yeah,
and we'll see you next week.
absolutely. Corey, thank
Thanks
you so
again
much
so
for
much
having
for
me.
sharing all of it with us.
Of course, anytime.
Thanks, Lex.
All right.